Before I get started, I want to thank all of the paying members of my Patreon channel. Your support is necessary, and without you, none of this is possible. I'd also like to thank PF for their support of the channel. And a special shout out to Awesome 3542Q8X for the $25 donation.
Woo! 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 Ow! Love that money!
And if you'd like to support the channel directly, Cash App and PayPal are available. Just be sure to let me know in the For section if it's okay for me to thank you publicly, or else I'll assume you want to remain anonymous.
And here we go.
Layman's Journal, Chapter 281. Last year, we heard about sports journalist Joy Taylor and how she allegedly slept with her boss at Fox Sports in exchange for a higher position within the company.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
Then earlier this year, we talked about a study or survey referencing the fact that nurses, specifically female nurses, are prone to infidelity.
What just came out was that nurses and doctors are more likely to cheat on their spouses than like athletes or actresses or singers.
Well, yeah, some nurses did cheat at the hospital.
But I'm saying,
not gonna lie.
They put out these reports that saying the number one cheating
It's nurses.
is nurses, yes. But you were a nurse, so you would know.
But that's because a lot of nurses date doctors. A lot of doctors are married. Not the nurses, it's the doctors that are married and cheating.
Oh my God.
And the nurses date the doctors. So if you want to be completely honest, I think that's more what I saw a lot of that, but not the nurses cheating.
So the doctors were married and cheating with the nurses?
Absolutely. And having sex with the nurses and all the things.
So at the hospital?
At the hospital.
Where? What rooms?
In the rooms, in the lab room, in the medical room, in the equipment room.
Is it like a quick thing, or was it like this is gonna be the whole rundown? Like,
listen, it's just quick, and then they might see each other outside of the hospital and then act like they don't know each other. But then when it get messy, when they bring it back to the hospital and everybody know their business, that's when it get messy.
God.
Yeah.
Was there nurses that were like, what was the purpose of the nurse hooking up with the doctors? Was it like to level up, or did they just always admire the doctor?
No, I think too, we work with a lot of women. So when they do see a man, they go fucking crazy.
But the thing is, did you guys look at the doctors like this guy is like the goal? Like, this guy is like the high standard. Like, this is the king of the office, basically, because he is a doctor?
So I think that's the hierarchy of the hospital. We have to treat the, hey, doctor, do you need something? Because we're there to assist the doctors, right? Yeah. Hey, doc, you need something. Hey, doc, you need something. It even doctors tell you, get up, I need that chair. And as a nurse, you would get up.
You have to, right?
You have to. That's the hierarchy of the hospital. Mm-hmm. So like you said, it's looked upon that the doctors are up here, and then, of course, the nurses. So it was just like a...
Then shortly after that, we heard about former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, a married woman who had a 3-year affair with another member of the Trump administration.
The clip that made headlines everywhere was not a Republican. It was a Democrat who, I have to say, this was so uncomfortable, who asked her about the rumors that listen, it's been printed up in the Daily Mail. We've discussed it on this show. It is an open secret in Washington that she's, despite the fact, married. She denies it, for the record, but it is an open secret that she is having a long-term affair with Corey Lewandowski. To bring it up at the DHS oversight, and the way the woman did it was to say, you're sleeping with a subordinate, and we have a right to ask, which was almost too clever, but I felt so uncomfortable. I want to get your take on it. Here was the moment. SOT 24.
So, Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and
my...
ma'am, one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
So you should be able to answer the question.
What we do at the Department of Homeland Security every single
and without
day,
any hesitation.
every single day.
So when I heard about athletic reporter Dianna Russini allegedly having an affair with Titan head coach Mike Vrabel, I didn't care. Because it's not uncommon for women in professional settings to have affairs, or be the one that a married man cheats with. Because when you think about it, married women in the workforce spend more time awake with their coworkers than their actual husbands. And when you put a woman in a professional environment, surrounded by men who make a lot of money, oftentimes more than her husband, and have authority in the workplace, it's a recipe for disaster. Because those are all the things women find attractive. Even Michelle Beadle, a former sports journalist, had this to say.
What I find interesting is the number of female sports people who have felt very comfortable in getting out there and blasting specifically her. Ladies, at some point, I will write a book. And the more I see you out there yapping about all this high and mighty self-righteous, I know a lot about you. So be careful.
So basically she's saying tread lightly, ladies, because I know for a fact Russini isn't the only one sleeping with a colleague. So again, women who work in professional settings with high-value men tend to sleep with them, even though they're married or the men they're sleeping with are married. So it didn't surprise me when I heard about Russini and Vrabel. It just confirmed what I already knew. So why talk about it? It's old news. But then I saw these clips.
I'm married to someone average. I don't post a lot about them. If I was married to someone beautiful, I'd overpost too.
You know who lets me know my marriage is falling apart? My mom. No, I did things in Miami I haven't even told my husband because it's just I had that much fun. It was well, not like that, but like I knew he would judge the kind of partying I was doing. I don't know what got into me. I just remember being down there acting like it was my last day on earth. It's for 12 days. I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to eat. My family's going to hate me. My husband's going to threaten divorce. But we've signed up for this, and we're getting divorced at the end of the year. We've never been more disconnected in our lives. Our text messages look like two robots.
Love you. Any of that? Love you. Love you too.
No, not even an emoji. And so the night before my wedding, I remember Jimmy was great. He made like a funny joke like, hey, it's the night before your wedding. You sure you want to do this? And I'm thinking like, of all the people in my life that I'm going to talk to the night before my wedding, the one guy my dad wanted me to, or my mom wanted me to marry was Jimmy Garoppolo.
Good grief.
Then I realized this was a teachable moment. There was a lesson to be gleaned, because there's a lot of self-incriminating evidence given up in those clips and in Russini's behavior, and we're going to talk about it. So, let's get it. Before I go on with the video, I want you to know that I'm writing this editorial under the presumption they're guilty as charged. Because after undergoing an investigation from her employer, Dianna resigned from her position at The Atlantic, which is interesting because innocent people don't issue resignations for improper conduct. If they're innocent, they fight for their reputations, especially if they're married. And the fact that she immediately stepped down shortly after the investigation started without even putting up a fight is an admission of guilt in my eyes. But also because why were they caught on camera? For those who don't know, this all started with her and Vrabel being photographed while relaxing poolside at a resort in Sedona, Arizona. So she and Vrabel were not there on vacation together. They were both working. He was attending the meeting, as is his job as a football coach, and she was there covering it. So it was supposed to be a boring work event. So it's kind of odd that someone would randomly take a photo of them, unless they were paid to do so, meaning one or both of them was possibly being investigated. Someone was following he or her around, looking for evidence of infidelity. Because neither of them stand out in a crowd, especially from the distance they were filmed. I'm guessing one of their spouses paid for the picture, but that's just my conjecture. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about Miss Russini's comments. The first thing that jumped out to me is an old saying, which is, there's truth in every joke. When someone says something about you, when they're playfully teasing you, they mean what they say. Deep down, it's something secretly they resent about you. Now, I don't know much about Russini's husband other than his name and where he works, which, out of respect for his privacy, I won't speak in this video. But he's a senior executive at a major company, and he graduated with a degree in finance from Penn State. So he's probably in the top 5 to 10% of income earners, meaning he's better than 90 to 95% of men in this country. So he's far from average like she claims. And he's not a bad-looking guy. Most women would be happy to have a man like him. The problem is Russini. She's a national journalist who's worked for ESPN and The Atlantic, and she's got a press pass for the NFL. She probably makes just as much, if not more, than her husband, and that's a problem, because all women, modern and traditional, but modern women in particular, are instinctually hypergamous, meaning they abhor men on their socioeconomic level. They want someone above their class. So in her worldview, her husband, even though he's in the top 5% of income earners, is an average guy, because he's nothing compared to the men she interacts with. Remember, she covers the NFL, worked for a national media corporation. That means she interacts with athletes, coaches, and executives, millionaires and billionaires on a regular basis, many of whom are more attractive and more successful than her husband. You also have to remember, the average woman views the world according to her own personal experience. They don't rely on facts, data, and statistics if they're telling her a different story than what she's experiencing. So, for example, if you were having a conversation with Miss Russini and you said to her, "Hey, your husband is a great guy, a senior executive at a major company, you're lucky to have him." She'll say, "Yeah, but he's no Mike Vrabel. He's not as tall or handsome as he is, and he wasn't in the NFL like he was, and he's not as wealthy or as powerful as Vrabel." And if you respond by saying, "Yes, but he's better than 95% of men in America," she'll respond by saying, "That's not true, because he's not better than the men that I see every day." So you see how hypergamy, mixed with personal experience, can warp a woman's worldview? And this is why a lot of men tend to avoid white-collar women, or women who work with white-collar men, like nurses, because she'll compare you to the men that she works with. So even if you make $300,000 a year, she'll see it as average, because the men she works with make that much money and more. Remember, women rely on their personal experiences more than facts, data, and statistics. So if the men she works with make 7 figures, she'll resent you. And the last issue I want to discuss is self-deprecating humor. A lot of men use that as a mating strategy. They tend to make fun of themselves as a non-threatening gesture towards a woman, all in an effort to get her to like them, to become familiar and comfortable around them. And it works to a degree. She will feel less threatened around you, but she'll also see you as a buffoon, a soft man, someone she can bully or disrespect. And she'll start making those same jokes about you that you've made about yourself. And this goes back to what we talked about earlier, how there's truth in every joke. Behind all of the smiles and laughter, there's resentment and disgust, which also ties into the idea that women tend to weaponize anything that you tell them in confidence. So you have to be careful about the things that you share with your lady. If you start making jokes about your shortcomings and insecurities, she'll embarrass you in front of others. And that's my theory. That's how Dianna Russini's husband approached her. He started off being a goofball, talking about how he's average, he's nothing compared to what she is, and that he's lucky to be with her, and how he doesn't deserve her. And she took that to heart and weaponized it. She started making fun of him publicly, despising him internally, and cheating on him openly. Again, that's just my conjecture. Because she was hanging out with Vrabel poolside at an NFL event with league officials and other journalists around. Even if she wasn't cheating, that's a terrible look. And apparently NFL insider Chris Sims, who is the son of Super Bowl winning quarterback Phil Sims, who himself had a long career in the NFL, heard some things about Miss Russini.
I'd shoot you straight. These are things that I've been texting with about my friend with my friends in the coaching world. Even their wives are involved in the conversation as well.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
What are you talking about?
Look, there's a lot there. And there's only so much that is reported and known. And that's I'm just trying to help.
Right. Again, her proclivities with Vrabel seem to be well known. But getting back to my point, I'm not arguing that a woman who respects her husband won't cheat on him ever, because we're all human and are thus prone to sin. But she sure as hell won't be sloppy about it, or pretending as if there'll be no ramifications if she's caught. So again, gentlemen, never humiliate or self-deprecate to get a woman to like you, because respect is hard to regain once it's been lost. And pay attention to those little jokes. Pay attention to the way your lady teases you, even if what she says appears harmless, because that's what she truly thinks about you, especially if she gets in the habit of doing that to you publicly. Never tolerate disrespect. so I'm going to let those be my closing thoughts. But before I go, please check out my latest video on Patreon. Layman's Journal Chapter 277. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard of the 4-time Academy Award-winning film Sinners. Written, directed, and produced by Ryan Coogler. It's a supernatural horror film set in the Jim Crow South of Mississippi. It's about twin brothers who return home to start a juke joint when suddenly they're attacked by a horde of hungry vampires. And on its surface, it comes across as a straightforward action film, just a group of makeshift vampire slayers trying to survive the night. And for those who missed the subtle metaphors and historical context of the film, that's exactly what it is. A black southern version of Dusk Till Dawn. But if you're a film nerd like me, and you understand metaphors, symbolism, and analogies, it's easy to see the differences, and come to the conclusion that aside from both films being of the same genre, they're nothing alike. Yet there are those who pretend to misunderstand the film, likely because of their hatred of anything that sheds a positive light on black culture.
I would give it 0 stars out of 5 stars.
But as for me personally, I had no plans on breaking this film down. But given the fact that this is a generational film, one that will be remembered for decades, I felt the need to set the record straight. Again, that's patreon.com/Layman's Journal. Hope to see you there. I'm out.
How am I spending my Friday? Some jerk chicken with rice seasoned, red beans, and some bread. Got some red wine over here. And I'm watching Layman's Journal on YouTube. Shout out to the brother Layman. Check him out. I'll leave the link in the description. It's your boy Calvin King. And this is how I'm enjoying my Friday.
please check out my latest video on Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/Laymans Journal. Hope to see you there. I'm out.